Well, happy Tuesday, everybody. Pastor Steve here. Excited you've joined me for this morning's devotion. In our Bible reading plan, we're in the Gospel of Luke, chapter 17. And what I want to talk about this morning is God's kingdom now and then, today and in the future. In verse 20, Jesus was being questioned by some Pharisees as to when the kingdom of God was coming. They expected God's kingdom to be an earthly kingdom and centered around the nation of Israel, with the Messiah being the king of Israel and Israel ruling the world. So they were looking for an earthly kingdom. But Jesus answered them in the middle of verse 20 and said, "The kingdom of God is not coming with signs to be observed." He said, when the kingdom of God first shows up, you're not going to see it. It's not going to be a visible, physical thing. A visible, physical kingdom the way you are thinking, the way you are expecting. So he says it's not going to be that kind of kingdom. In verse 21, nor will they say, look, here it is, or there it is. You can't point to borders, boundaries. You can't point to a capital. You can't point to a military with weapons. Jesus said, why? For behold, the kingdom of God is in your midst. He said, you're looking for the kingdom, looking for a visible physical kingdom, but no, you got it wrong. That's not the way it's going to show up. Come. In fact, Jesus said, the kingdom of God is already here. It is in your midst right now. Pharisees, God's kingdom is already here, and you can't see it because his kingdom is not a country. His kingdom is found in the person of Jesus Christ. When Jesus was standing in their midst, God's kingdom was there. And it's still that way today. And Jesus is in us. We are in Jesus. We are in his kingdom, citizens of his kingdom. And even today, it is a spiritual kingdom. It's not a physical, visible kingdom with boundaries and a capital and so on. It's not that kind of kingdom. Then Jesus turned and started talking more personally about this to his disciples. In verse 22, he said, the days will come. There are times coming in the future when you will long to see one of the days of the Son of Man, and you will not see it. Jesus is saying to his followers, not too far in the future, there will be days when, man, you wish it was like it is now. He said, because I'm not going to be here. He's talking about, his crucifixion, resurrection, and ascension to heaven, and he's not going to be there literally and physically with them anymore the way he was at that moment. And he said there will be moments, there will be times after that when you long for days like it is now, when I am actually literally, physically with you. Now, all this is going to tie together. He said in verse 24, talking about when he comes back, he's going to leave and they're going to miss him. But when he comes back at the second coming, he says in verse 24, for just like the lightning, when it flashes out of one part of the sky and shines to the other part of the sky, so will be the Son of Man. So the Son of Man will be in his day. In other words, when Jesus comes back, it's going to be a very visible event. And in that moment, his kingdom will be physical and tangible, and you can see it. But that's only after the second coming. Until then, Jesus' kingdom is invisible, so to speak. It's spiritual. It is in us, and it's not obvious. But after the second coming, the kingdom of God is going to be visible, will not be a secret. And Jesus said, when I come, I'm not going to sneak in and out. When I come to set up my kingdom, it's already established it, but he's going to complete it then. When his kingdom comes in fullness, everybody's going to know it. You can't miss it on that day. But that day hasn't come yet. We're still in the now. That's the then. We're still in the now, and God's kingdom now is in us. God's kingdom is really in the hearts and lives of every person who submits to his lordship, to his kingship, to his rule, to his reign. And so what that means And it's until Jesus' second coming and he completes his kingdom and it's visible and physical. Until then, you and I need to focus not on trying to make any country into God's kingdom. We need to focus on submitting ourselves to the lordship of Jesus Christ so that his kingdom can rule in our lives. And we need to focus on inviting other people to join his kingdom, because if they do not join the invisible spiritual kingdom of God, they will never be part of the physical, eternal kingdom of God. And so you and I need to see clearly that God's kingdom is all about his lordship in my life and in your life, and us inviting others to join us in being citizens of his spiritual kingdom here and now, so that then and there we can be part of his physical kingdom. That's the word for today. God bless you. I'll see you tomorrow.